turn that down a bit. At 7 p.m., will you stand and join me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, reviewing our housekeeping items. First of all, I just want to say I'm really kind of happy after the last 2 or 3 meetings we've had. We've had a total of 5 people. So I finally put something on the agenda that got everybody's attention and brought everybody out here tonight. So it's great to see everyone. The housekeeping items are the board. When speaking, please move close to your microphone to ensure you are heard clearly for the YouTube streaming. And I urge that citizens who speak to adjust the height of the stand and be close to the microphone. There will be 2 opportunities for citizen comments. I will be requesting individuals stay within the 4 minutes in both citizen comment sections and would appreciate everyone keeping their points concise. I would request that comments are made respectfully to the board. We are here to discuss the township's business. Citizen comments should pertain to the specific issues, concerns, or policies they would like to bring to the board's attention. To respect everyone's time, I strongly urge the board not to respond to public comments, but address them in the board comment section at the end of the meeting. Sometimes this is difficult, but this is not a debating stage between the citizens and board members. We have township business to conduct and it's required to be done so effectively. If there needs to be a follow-up from the board, I will direct the appropriate person to reach out to that individual. The documents on the website are aligned to the items on the agenda. These are draft documents to provide background information only. Just to be clear, motions were drafted to help the board more quickly get to the final wording and vote on the respective motions. The final motion, therefore, may look different to reflect the actual action taken by the board. Board, we have 2 sets of minutes to go through: the regular board meeting of May 16th and the special board meeting of June 7th. Are there any comments or changes to the regular board meeting of May 16th, 2023? Alan, I'll start with you.
I have no comments.
Jason.
I have none.
Kathy. I've only got one, and I'll take the place of Sharon, who always has one. So it's in repeating agenda, item number 5, bullet point 1. I think it should be Commissioner Rubenall, not Commission. And that is the only change I had.
Wow. Okay.
If there's none other, I will make the motion to approve the May 16th, 2023 regular board meeting minutes with changes. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Jason. It is moved and seconded to approve the regular board meeting of May 16th, 2023 with changes. Any further discussion regarding the motion? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item number 2, are there any changes to the minutes for the special board meeting of June 7th, 2023? That was related to hiring of a new park attendant. Any comments or changes?
I have none.
Alan?
None.
Kathy? I don't have any. Therefore, I will make the motion to approve the June 7th, 2023 special board meeting minutes. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Kath. It is moved and seconded to approve the special board meeting of June 7th, 2023. Any further discussion regarding the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you, board. Next item, Kathy, any correspondence or announcements?
Yes, I'm thinking here. No, not for that portion. Thank you.
Okay. All right, the next item. Are there any changes or comments on the agenda? Alan?
None.
Jason? Kathy?
Mm-mm.
All right, well, I've got a few. All right. In looking at new business, item number 1, resolution regarding dangerous building police power ordinance. I would like to move that out of new business and put it down as number 6 under the agenda for board discussion. This will allow the board a chance to give me any additional feedback to the wording that was done. Also will allow us an opportunity to hear from our citizens as to their thoughts on this. Adding to business discussion, number 7 will be to set a date for a public hearing on septic systems inspection ordinance and looking at the dangerous building police power ordinance. That will be a public hearing. There are 4 dates that I would like to present during that discussion. Then adding number 8, I would like to provide an update on the boat launch. You will see on your desk a couple of schematics that the engineering firm has put together, and I can walk you through some of those changes. I was hoping to have at least a ballpark figure from a firm today, but they did not get back to me. Any questions on those changes?
So all your additions were under E, correct?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, well, then I will make a motion that the agenda be accepted with changes. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Jason. It is moved and seconded that the agenda is accepted with changes. Any further discussion regarding the motion?
Bob, would you say the changes once more?
Yeah.
Number 1 is going down to E6, keep going,
Correct.
and,
2 new items, E7 and E8.
okay.
E7 is setting a public hearing
Yep,
date and the boat launch update.
yep, thank you.
Okay. If there's no further discussion regarding the motion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, the agenda is set. We will now move to citizen comment. You will need to fill out the necessary forms if you wish to make a comment.
I do have 2 so far. Mr. Bertram, do you want to speak now or later?
Sounds good.
Now's
All right.
good?
I wanted just to add a comment.
Is it on, Mike?
Testing, 1, 2, 1, 2.
I don't think it is. I don't see the green one. All right.
They're back on the table.
I don't like spitting into it. Anyhow, what I want to do is just, as you got my report, I want you to be aware that we had a full cardiac arrest at Torch Lake Cafe. Means no respiratory effort, no cardiac effort. And we used the Life Pack and the AED and the Lucas, all 3 pieces of equipment that you purchased. The patient was brought back to Munson, confused, combative, but came fully back and is now home doing very well. Did survive it. It's our first save that I'm aware of as an ALS unit in Torch Lake Township. So it was a remarkable effort by Becky Boyce and Johnny McCall, who were the EMT and paramedics. There were also some firefighters there, but Kevin, I can't remember who all was there, but they deserve credit for helping out too, because they were doing CPR with the bystanders at Torch Lake Cafe. So I want you to be aware of that. It is in my report, but I didn't tell you where and when. So anyhow,
All right.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
Mike, could I ask you a question?
Yes.
Do I have to pull out the report to ask Mike a question?
No, at this point, he's up
Okay.
here. That's fine.
Question came up, if you have a patient, whatever the case may be, a patient like this with a full arrest, and they have a gun on them, Is there a process that you follow to deal with that gun?
There is a process that we follow that
There is.
we don't go to the building unless we know it's safe from the sheriff's or state police. We don't go there. I mean, we'll go to the scene, but the sheriff's department or the state police have to clear it for us.
No, you have a patient on the ground. You're doing all the things, opening up their clothing and all this kind of thing, and they realize that they hopefully have a CCW and they have carrying a gun. What's the process for that?
We're not concerned with that process.
So that would go with the patient to the hospital?
No,
No.
absolutely not.
What
We
would
would have the
happen?
sheriff's department take care of that at the
Okay.
scene.
And this,
Because we don't know whether that weapon is loaded or unloaded.
oh, I understand.
So
Yeah, I
we
just
do
wanna know
not.
how we
It's a full
follow.
arrest, we take care of the patient. If there's a danger with the weapons, we have the sheriff's department take care of that at the same time. So it's
Okay.
kind of a dual responsibility. They're very good at working with us on that.
Oh, sure.
They
I
are.
just was trying to understand
Yeah,
if we had
it can be a
liability sitting
precarious
there.
situation
Yes,
because a guy could drop dead with a pistol in his pocket.
yes.
We're not experts on that.
Right, oh, I understand. I just wondered what the procedure to neutralize the whole
It
situation.
is.
Yeah,
Better to back off.
okay, all right, thank you.
Thanks, Mike. All right, Kathy, next.
Okay, Anna, do you want to speak now or later? You have a presentation, right? Okay. Donna Purvis?
Good evening. My name is Donna Purvis. My husband and I own 3 parcels located at 2455 North US 31. While we have owned these parcels for a number of years, we were just recently honored with being able to move here full-time. And I'm no stranger to Key Baden since I grew up here and graduated from Elk Rapids. In my attempts to become aware of current events, I have read with great interest an article published in Elk Rapids News this past week regarding the proposed trail extension from Acme to Charlevoix. More research has uncovered the path could directly impact my home and adjacent properties. And I have 3 questions for the board. Has the township had any discussions with the trail organizers? If so, where can I find those meeting minutes? And how can I get involved in this very important discovery process?
All right, well, I'll take that one. I followed up with your request with an email.
Okay, I didn't see the email.
All right, so I sent you the name of the person who's in charge of it. I also sent you the information of the meeting that we had, I think it was in April of last year, in which the presentation was made. So you should have that information and you should be able to get in touch with that person to answer those questions.
Okay,
All right?
I'll check my emails.
All
Could
right,
I ask
Donna.
you, what exactly is your concern? Is it very close to your homes? Is that it?
Yes, I have a very small front yard. So if
Okay,
the trail goes through my front yard, we're literally taking out trees and shrubs and, I mean, I could throw a stone from my front porch to where the trail could be.
can I ask you
based
that
on
address
potential
again?
easement. 2455. We could
US
literally throw
31?
a stone to my house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome.
Thanks, Donna. All right, next.
Bill Peterson? Bill Peterson?
Bill Peterson, 12229 Yelta Road. I know that it's been tabled for tonight, but I would like to speak about the dangerous buildings ordinance. I have a lot of questions as to how it came to be. In our zoning ordinance, we have a process that our ordinances go through for adoption. I can't find anywhere in the minutes where this proposed ordinance has been through the planning commission, public hearing, public input, it hasn't went to the county's planning commission before it come on the docket tonight. So that's one of my concerns. I feel it's highly not enforceable. First of all, as a township, you're taking on the responsibility to send your employees out to a premises to inspect, which technically you'd be trespassing. So we live in a mixed community. You've got everything from lakefront homes, some commercial, and a lot of agriculture. So at what point in all of this does the township just gonna show up on the parcel and inspect if a door is legal? If it opens and closes properly? Things like that. Are you gonna have to, there's nothing in there about obtaining permission from the property owner that you're gonna go out and do these inspections. Secondly, hardships happen. Properties transfer, people die, people get cancer. And is this gonna be on a complaint basis? Is this gonna turn down the road someday to where someone's driving down the road and just, oh, I don't like the looks of that, I'll call the township and see if I can get it fixed up? There's more cases that I can see in this for abuse than there is for good. I live and work in this area, been fortunate to be here all my life, and I drive around and I don't see these dilapidated, dangerous buildings. I was born and raised on a farm. We carry insurance for if someone trespasses and gets hurt, whether or not they happen to trespass on a snowmobile and run into a fence and things like that. That's the property owner's right and responsibility, not the township's. The township is not going to pay those medical bills if someone gets hurt on our property. Therefore, the township, in my opinion, has no business jumping into this and taking on some sort of responsibility, which you would be doing by, in lack of a better terms, playing God and saying what's dangerous and what's not. Yes, there are building codes, but if those structures, when they were built, passed, it ends there. It doesn't give the building department or the county any right to just come back unannounced and say, hey, how's your maintenance program doing? It says in there if there's anything damaged by wind. So is that a flopping piece of siding? Is that a sliding bar door that maybe became unlatched? There's a myriad of problems with this ordinance. And first and foremost, it's, in my opinion, an overstep that we do not need here in Torch Lake Township. Thank you.
Thanks, Bill. All right, next.
Mr. Spencer.
Bob Spencer, 709 Northwest Torch Lake Drive. I just want to make a few comments about road ends, but that might be more appropriate when you're dealing with road ends. And so I can make them now.
It needs to be
very
made.
General.
Make it now in the citizen comment, or you can do it at the end in citizen comment.
Well, I'll do it now because I
Okay.
don't want to wait till the end. There is some history here. The Township Board has acted on making ordinance dealing with road ends. There have been historically a couple of different times in the last 20 or 30 years where the road commissioner, the county board, and the township board have talked about jurisdictional issues around road ends. They have also passed some ordinances and some resolutions, they being the township board members. Those are still on the books to my knowledge. And I won't go into all the details. My only request is if you're going to deal with modifications, take a look at what you have as your starting point and then go forward from there. But there's a couple of dates. May 7th of 2007, there was an ordinance put into effect, a police power ordinance that dealt with a number of things, but road ends was one of them. The kinds of activities that can and cannot be exhibited at road ends. Another one was on September 18th of 2007, where the board unanimously passed a policy regarding road ends. And so I'm just saying there's some information out there. You might want to have the history, and I would appreciate it if you made an informed decision if and when you get to that point, you're going to make modifications. Thank you.
Thanks, Bob.
Mary Van Valen.
I'm just here to thank Supervisor Cook and Bob Hawkins. We are seeing less parking on the preserve beach, which is really, really important because it is our opportunity to live up to the agreements originally made with the conservation deed restrictions for that property. And I'm so, so grateful that we have that beautiful preserve and that now the beach is a part of that preserve and not a parking lot. So thank you.
Thank you, Mary.
Kevin. I'm stumbling because you corrected me and now I can't remember. So Hoke? Is that right? Hoke, Kevin Hoke, please.
Good afternoon, Kevin Holt, Under Sheriff, Manchester County Sheriff's Office. Thank you very much for the opportunity for me to come out and speak here again this evening. Just want to give you a little bit of information what's going on at the Sheriff's Office. Quite a bit has been going on since we last spoke. The individuals we were talking about before, the road depths, we have 2 that graduated the academy. They are now in phase 2, doing phenomenal. Matthew Boyer and Nathan Benitez. They're doing a great job. They're on the night shift. Excuse me, one's on the night shift, one's on the day shift, and they're going to flop here next month for stage 3. There's 4 stages, 3 stages of hardcore training, the 4 stages of shadow, and that's about 2 weeks. And the FTO just sits there, and the probationary officer, who would be our new deputies, would actually do everything. The officer is just there as a resource and to make sure everything is safe. Saying that, with the 2 vessels that we purchased, thanks to the Board of Commissioners, they assisted us on allowing us to purchase 2 brand new boats. One of them is a bay liner, the other one is a wellcraft. These 2 boats are in service. They are stickered, they are lit up like a Christmas tree, and they look fantastic. And I got to give a shout out to our Marine deputies, Joe Clark, Roy Wick, and Ed Sell. They did a phenomenal job on those boats. We had a gentleman that donated $1,000 to the wellcraft. We had a budget to go by, and he assisted us on that. And we had the stickers donated to the wellcraft as well by Pro Image. Fantastic job. It's the MSA symbol on both sides of the boats. And the wellcraft is going to be in Torch Lake, Elk Lake, and the bay liner is going to be in the inland lakes, like Intermediate. So if you see them, drive up to the Marine Depth and take a look at our boat. We'd like that. So we're doing a little bit more on the Stepping Up program. We just had a great meeting today. About a month and a half ago, I had a great meeting with our Stepping Up board. And what that means is trying to keep individuals that need assistance with medical assistance for mental illness. And we're doing fantastic. We are doing leaps and bounds with this board, and it's coming together very nice. Me and the commissioner, we've been kind of going together on this, and I went to one meeting with them, and it was a great meeting. So once I get a little bit more with the Stepping Up program, I'll have some of that information for you very soon. We are in step 3 right now, and there's 5 steps, and then we're going to get a couple more people involved that we think would be an asset to the team. So it's going to be a great thing. So in saying that, I want to go over the township report. 911 checks for Torch Lake. We had 15. We had 2 alarms. We had one K9 deployment. We had 1 car-deer crash, 1 civil non-criminal complaint. We had 3 general assist. We had 4 hazardous conditions. We had 21 medical calls. And what that means is that we were out assisting the ambulance or the fire department in Torch Lake Township as a police officer. We had motorist assist. We had 2 in the township. Personal injury accident, we had 3. We had suspicious person, we had 2. Suspicious situation, we had 5. Suspicious vehicle, we had 1. We had 5 traffic stops in the township of Torch Lake for a total of 81 complaints for the month of May.
What was the nature of the suspicious items?
Which one? There were a couple suspicious.
Well, all 3 of them. I mean, I guess the word is the critical aspect of that.
So suspicious person, it could be anywhere from a community member driving by or someone driving by us, say on US 31, and they see someone in the roadway dressed in black and they duck into the ditch. That'd be a suspicious person. Get into a suspicious situation, it could be your next door neighbor is supposed to be gone for the next 2 weeks and there's lights turning on, shutting off, or there's a light that stays on that is never on. That's suspicious situation. or somebody drives down your driveway and you don't know who it is. So, and a suspicious vehicle is pretty much driving down your driveway with a vehicle and you have no idea who it is. So that is when you should definitely call in. So, sorry.
Hey,
What is
well, I was
considered,
pointing at him when you said suspicious guy, so.
Yes.
what is considered a hazardous condition?
Hazardous condition, you could have a vehicle broke down right in the middle of the roadway at about 2 o'clock in the morning. That's a hazardous condition.
Gotcha.
That's something that needs to be taken care of right away.
Again, can I follow up with regard to my question to our EMS people? If you're at the scene and somebody has a pistol there, but they're ill or sick or in an accident, you take the pistol, the sheriff or one of the officers will take that.
So
So
it's secured, and they are, the officers communicating with that patient.
Okay.
Making sure that they get their gun back.
okay,
So
all right,
their name is on it, we fill out a document, evidence tag, and it's safe in our property room.
okay.
It's something, we don't encounter it a whole lot, but times are different now, and.
Yes, they are.
So there are a lot of people that exercise their rights.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions, board? Not? Kevin, thank you.
Thank you very much for allowing me to be here. Appreciate it.
Yep. All right.
I got a
Any
couple-
other
Yep. I got a
comments?
couple more.
Okay.
Mr. Stillings?
Thank you. I've got 2 items that I wanted to bring up, so I'm hoping you'll be a little lenient with the 4 minutes. I'll do my best to get it all in. First off, let's talk about the dangerous building ordinance. Sometimes it seems like we have a whole bunch of great solutions that are looking for problems, and I think that that's a little bit of what we have going here. A long time ago, my mother taught me something. She said, "That government which governs least governs best." That's a paraphrase from Henry David Thoreau. Anyway, the ordinance, the way I see it proposed, is ripe for abuse. We already have an existing blight ordinance which has been successfully used, and it's a civil infraction as opposed to the brute force of a police power ordinance. And, it provides us with due process and eliminates some of the potential abuse that would be present in the new ordinance. Also, I question the expertise that this body has or anybody in the township has to make some of the structural determinations. And I have to ask, what's next? You got to tell us what color we can paint our house? It's like we're getting more and more like Detroit and a whole lot less like the Torch Lake Township that everybody I know was looking for when they moved up here. I've been here since the 80s, and the whole idea was leave me alone. So anyway, that's that one.
All right.
Let's talk about the proposal for a police department. It doesn't sound like we're quite Portland, Oregon yet. Our murder rate is exceptionally low the last time I checked. We, according to the 2020 census, we're a whopping 1,212 people in our population. To institute a police force for a population that small, I think it's just a ridiculous amount of money per capita. It's just, the expenses to do it right are huge. And if you're not going to do it right, then don't do it at all. We don't need Barney Fife running around. You got to have certified officers. You got to have coverage. You got to have people in the office for communications. I just did some rough estimates, and to get through the setup in the first year, you could be talking $600,000-800,000. In this township, that's just ridiculous. If we really think we have a problem, is Mr. Rubin still here? Yes. I would think that we would get with our county commissioners and say, hey, guys, we think the sheriff's department needs some help. How about shuffling some money around in the budget and giving the sheriff a few bucks and solving whatever problems we have? So I hope I made it in 4 minutes, and thank you very much.
Did a great job, Jim. Thank you. All good points.
Mr. Rubing?
Yeah, for county commissioner report, the building department released their monthly report to the county commissioners at the end of May. They sold 1,008 permits so far this year. That's counting construction, plumbing, electrical, everything. Last year, for the entire year, we sold 979. So we have already sold more permits at the end of May than what we did for the entire year of 2022.
Permits for what? Help me.
So if you're going to build a house, you need to
Building
get,
permits.
yeah, building
Okay.
permits. Or if you're going to add on to your house, yeah, stuff like
Thank
that.
you.
As the undersheriff said, I'm becoming more knowledgeable about the Stepping Up program, being on the mental health board. In our 6 counties that are on the North Country Community Mental Health Board, Charlevoix County has always been up in front. They signed on to the Stepping Up program in 2015. And a bunch of the other counties started signing on in 2019 and 2020. Up to 30% of crimes are qualified for being linked to a mental illness. So almost a third. A lot of times it's listed as disorderly conduct, but they're not in their right mind. They don't really know what they're doing. And if we can help those people by getting them to a hospital or getting them counseling instead of putting them in the jail, it's better for them. It's better for the taxpayer. It's better for the county. So that's the goal. I did want to read here if I can pull it up here. The county building is soon going to be under construction, and the commissioners approved moving the building department downstairs permanently. It's one of our most used services in the county building. So if people could just walk in, get their permit, and get back out instead of having to go upstairs, we thought it would be beneficial to the citizens. Starting after the 4th of July, there's going to be a fence going up around because they're redoing the siding. There's going to be a 6-foot fence around the county building. A number of departments are going to be moved or shuffled. The county clerk will be moving to the Register of Deeds office temporarily. The equalization department will soon be moving permanently to room 120. Human resources will be on the top floor of the 1905 courthouse. The Register of Deeds will soon be moving permanently to the current equalization department office space. And we will be redoing signage when you come in so that hopefully you can find where you need to go. And if not, we always say that we exist to serve our citizens, so please ask someone and they will point you in the right direction.
Thanks, Jairus.
Any questions? Thank you.
That's all.
That's it? All right. Let's move on to the consent agenda. Are there any reports the board would like to pull? I have none.
I didn't necessarily need it pulled, but I had a comment,
Okay.
but I don't remember which report, so hang on, please. Oh, it was about what a successful full arrest means and save, and Mike
Mike
explained
already
that.
explained
Yep,
that one, Ron.
I wasn't sure what that meant.
Okay. Jason, Ellen, any reports to pull? All right. Then I'll make the motion to accept all the reports by consent. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thanks. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed. All right. Next item, special reports, Planning Commission. Jason.
Yeah, we had a pretty quick meeting last Tuesday. We passed 2 amendments to existing ordinances.
Great. That was related to the ZBA, so. All right, Kathy Boyes.
FOIAs right now are up to date, all done. Yay.
Good.
Nothing new.
All right. As far as the financial report, as I've always indicated, if anybody has questions, they can get in touch with me or go to the clerk's office. The report is fairly detailed, so it should answer most of your questions. Year-to-date, we're still favorable to the budget, driven by higher revenue collection and flat expenses. Cash is down 107,000. You can expect that to continue since we no longer collect much in the way of revenue. So we run deficits between now and December. So that's just the way the books are set up and the tax cycle is. We will see a big withdrawal in June. We made the payment to the down payment for the road work of a little over $400,000. And the work that we approved at the old Missions Estate is now underway. That takes care of the financial report. Moving to the next item, agenda for board action. We have no old business and we have 4 items under the new business.
You're skipping number 4?
Oh, that's right. Thank you.
Septic ordinance.
Oh, you skipped right over
Present-
it.
the
I was looking
presentation.
right at it.
I looked, I said, by habit, there wasn't much in there in the past. So I'm sorry, Anna.
Hold on, you're getting ahead of yourself.
If you will, we got to keep it around 10 minutes.
Hello, my name is Anna McGlashan, and I'm the new local policy manager for the Tip of the Mitt Watershed Council. I'm accompanied today by Jennifer McKay, the policy director for the Tip of the Mitt. I should also be joined by 2 representatives from the Health Department of Northwest Michigan, Jeremy, the director of Environmental Health Services and the director of Emergency Preparedness, and Casey Clement, an environmental health coordinator also at the Health Department. We are here today to introduce ourselves as resources for you as you discuss the possibility of enacting a septic ordinance and are happy to answer any questions that you may have. I'm first going to answer a couple of specific questions posed by Supervisor Cook, and then I will summarize the draft ordinance, which is based on the Milton Township time of transfer septic ordinance. And that's what's in those blue folders. And if any of you want to follow along, I have a couple copies of the draft ordinance back at that table. First question was, how many northern Michigan communities have local septic ordinances at this time? And based on our understanding, it is 7 townships and 5 counties in northern Michigan, and they all have time of transfer ordinances. There are also many communities in southern Michigan that have local septic ordinances, and in addition, many local units of government address septic systems in short-term rental ordinance. All of the community, so I have a list here which I'm going to provide for you.
Yep.
And all of the communities listed have a time of transfer or time of sale septic ordinance. These ordinances require that almost every home or building served by a septic system have that septic system inspected prior to the sale or deed transfer of the home or building. All inspections must be conducted by an inspector that has been approved by the Health Department. This is beneficial for new homeowners that can be assured that their septic system is properly functioning. Time of sale or transfer ordinances can also help reduce the amount of nutrients entering groundwater and surface water, because if a system is failing or does not exist, so if the system is failing or the system is failing, it needs to be repaired or replaced. And so after the inspection, you receive instructions on how to come back into compliance. In the first 6 years after Berry and Eaton counties began a time of sale or transfer ordinance, almost 1,000 failed septic systems were discovered. Additionally, nearly 300 residences were found to have no septic system at all. Given that short-term rentals are often on waterfront properties, targeting these properties is a strategic first step in efforts to protect our water resources from septic contamination. Short-term rental regulations can protect against septic system failure by limiting the number of guests based on septic tank size and the number of bedrooms, or requiring the homeowner to have a current inspection of the septic system on file. Second question was, how many townships are currently working on ordinances? Tuscarora Township is currently considering a septic ordinance. However, we only work within our service area, so there may be other townships in northern Michigan that are currently working on septic ordinances in northern Michigan that we are unaware of. I have reached out to Michigan State Extension on this question, but I have not yet heard back. We are currently working to encourage local units of government in Antrim County to consider septic ordinances and will begin outreach in Emmett County soon. Lessons learned from other, question 3 was lesson learned from other townships. And the answer is we generally receive positive feedback on time of transfer ordinances. I brought for you copies of our septic regulation success stories in Northern Michigan and home buyer survey, which has additional information on the public's response to these ordinances. I would be happy to provide copies of these publications on request to the audience. Otherwise, they can be found on our website. Updates on the state septic bill. House Bills 4479 and 4480 and Senate Bills 299 and 300 were introduced on Thursday, April 27th, and would require inspection of residential septic wastewater systems every 5 years. The inspection result would be maintained by the Michigan Department of Environment, Great Lakes, and Energy, otherwise known as EGLE. The bills also establish a technical advisory commission within EGLE to advise the department, legislature, and local health departments on the most current scientific standards for septic tanks. We have been instrumental not only in the introduction, but in providing specific language to Representative Skaggs to improve the bill to hopefully have the strictest statewide code possible. Under the current language, local government ordinances would be required to be phased out. In addition, EGLE and local health departments will have exclusive jurisdiction over the regulation, permitting, and inspection of septic systems moving forward. These bills are expected to come up in committee in the fall. Regarding the proposed ordinance for Torch Lake Township, we are continuing to work with stakeholders on language changes. The proposed ordinance is based on Milton Township's time of transfer ordinance, which was drafted with input and support from the Health Department of Northwest Michigan. I'm going to run through the sections if I have time and provide a high-level summary. I will note, however, that I am not an attorney, and this report is intended to be informational rather than authoritative, and the township should consult with its own attorney prior to enacting any ordinance. So, Section 1, title, it's just the name. Feel free to change as needed. I believe that Milton went by numbers, so that's what that header is. Purpose. The ordinance is intended to protect public health and the ground and surface water from malfunctioning or failing septic systems by supplementing the rules and regulations of the health department. The ordinance requires the evaluation of a septic system, known as a sewage treatment and disposal system, at the time a property is transferred. The health department or its evaluators will perform the inspections required by the ordinance, and the health department may then take actions under its own regulations to protect the public health and the environment. Section 3 is going to be definitions. This lists the terms that may have variable definitions and provides a specific definition to be used when interpreting and applying this particular ordinance. For example, evaluator is a general term that can be used in normal discussions. However, because evaluator is defined as a person who is authorized by the health department to conduct evaluations for the purpose of this ordinance, there is now a specific interpretation of that term. Section 4 is advising owners of the ordinance. This section requires real estate agents to disclose the existence of the time of transfer ordinance to both the owner and to the potential buyer. The language of that notification would be drafted by the township board or the health department. Section 5, STDS evaluation required and exemptions. This section creates two categories: systems that must be inspected and systems that are exempted from inspection. Exemptions include either a new system that was installed in the last 10 years, 2, a system that was inspected and found to be functional in the last 5 years, or 3, if the land will be sold, but the structure that the system serves will be destroyed and not replaced, so only the land is going to be used and there's no longer a structure that needs that septic system, or if the home is refinanced, foreclosed, or involuntarily transferred. So if you're refinancing your mortgage, you're not going to suddenly need a septic inspection. We have also discussed with Supervisor Cook adding language that would require all systems without a septic permit on record with the health department or with Antrim County that they must have an inspection within 3 years of the ordinance's passage. I'm going to note that I reached out to Richard Norton, who is a professor of urban and regional planning from the University of Michigan, to request feedback on this particular language and to make sure that the inspection of homes that are not currently permitted, to make sure that we're phrasing that correctly.
He
And
was
we're
fine
hearing
with
back.
it?
We're waiting on the language. He hasn't come back.
To be continued.
To be continued.
All right.
Section 6, evaluation, application, and fee. This section says that evaluation forms can come from the township or the health department, but the application is submitted to the health department, and that the health department has the power to set the fee for that inspection. And the fee would then go to the health department. Note, the ordinance as written requires an intergovernmental agreement with the health department, which does not currently exist. It would have to be passed in conjunction with this ordinance. Milton Township does have that intergovernmental agreement in place, and Jeremy plans to send that to the township. Section 7 is the STDS evaluation and report. This section lays out the process and considerations for the inspection and creates requirements for what must be included in the evaluation report to be provided to the owner, the township, the health department, and the potential buyer. The evaluator will determine if the STDS and well are in compliance with the health department's existing regulations. If a failure of the septic system is found, the owner will have 6 months or an agreed-upon timeframe to come into compliance. The inspection reports will also include recommendations to extend the life of the existing system. Section 8, evaluations. This requires the inspections to be performed by someone from or contracted by the health department. Section 9 is a private water supply system evaluation. This section requires the inspection of a well or private water supply as well as the STDS if the residence has both a well and septic. Section 10 is failed STDS or failed private water supply system. If the health department determines that the well, septic, or both are not in compliance with health department regulations, the property cannot be transferred until the system comes into compliance. Section 11, enforcement and private cause of action. This provides financial penalties for failing or refusing to come into compliance with the ordinance. It also defines violations of the ordinance as nuisance per se, such that violating the ordinance opens up liability for the owner of the property. This section also allows the township and the health department to require and perform an inspection if a property owner does not have the system's inspected as they should, and allows the township to sue homeowners in civil court to recover the costs of that inspection from the owner, as well as attorney fees and court costs. Section 12 is severability. If any particular section is found to be unlawful, the rest of the ordinance may still be enforced. Section 13 is repeal. This ordinance will trump other existing township ordinances if there are any conflicts. And Section 14 is effective date. This is when the ordinance will take effect and can be enforced.
Great. Thank you. So board, I think a copy of that is in the folder. The idea behind this was I got a comment from the Torch Lake Protection Alliance indicating the shape of Torch Lake, and I can tell you that looking out my front yard, it's totally different than it was even last year. So there's certainly a change underway, and groups have been pushing for us to look at the septic tanks as one of the areas. We also have the signs that are out there about not fertilizing. So what I wanted to do was bring this up to the board and bring it up to the community to evaluate whether or not they want to move forward in this area and some type of ordinance in which we can have septic tank evaluation undertaken. So this was just a rough draft. This was a discussion that I'd had. We have had it reviewed by our attorney just on a red line basis, a comparison to other communities that have this. At this particular juncture, that's why I want to set up a public hearing. We're not experts at this. I apologize, I didn't get an introduction in, but I'd asked them to come tonight to answer any quick questions you may have, and we'll establish a thorough public hearing in the second week of July, if we can agree on a date. And we'll have you back so that then you can provide the necessary information. The one question I would have is the type of system open to all of the new technology, or is there specific systems that are allowed and that the new technology hasn't passed the, I'd hate to say the smell test, but that would be the appropriate pun today.
Hi, Bob. My name is Jeremy Fruch. I'm the Environmental Health Director for the Health Department of Northwest Michigan. And your question again is, what is your question?
It's it's a type of system. I had a phone call today of a
Yeah.
person that couldn't come, and the question was, is the health department looking at all the various technologies so that, in fact, if the system has to be replaced, it might require less area for treatment as opposed to what the current standards are for
Well,
systems.
Yeah, okay. So what we do is we have alternative treatment systems. These are engineered systems. And we actually, footprint-wise, we don't reduce it, but we do allow it to be in ground 12 inches from groundwater. And a conventional system would be 48 inches. So the thought process is that the septic tank receives the sewage, and then it goes into the pre-treatment system, and then the pre-treatment tank pumps it out to the field. So the septic field, you know, when the waste gets to the septic field, it's actually less concentrated than a conventional system.
All right.
So that allows us to reduce the amount from the groundwater, reduce the system in ground from the groundwater. So a lot of times on lakes, your groundwater is usually a lot lower than what it would be in a higher ground. So that's where
Right.
ATS systems come into play, especially around Torch Lake area. So,
Yeah, I know ours is maybe
Yeah.
2 feet.
right, exactly. And it's a mound. I mean,
Yep.
when I say 12 inches, it's actually, we still put the system up 48 inches, but we only need 12 inches of natural soil. So, sorry, I wasn't being clear on that. So
Okay.
You're actually still 48 inches from groundwater, but when we do a soil evaluation, you just need 12 inches of natural ground, or
Okay.
natural soil.
All right.
Any other questions while I'm up here?
You mentioned leaving the septic tank to
It's like a pre-treatment, most of the time it's filters that are in.
does everybody have, would that be something we would already have?
Not-
Or is
not
that a
everybody
new-
has
That's a
one.
new thing.
Yeah, and these are only required if you have limited isolation from groundwater.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if by installing that, would that help you not have to replace the whole system possibly?
I mean, you still could have used if you put a bunch of baby wipes in there, it could fail prematurely, so.
I've been told not to do that.
Yes.
Do not flush flushable things.
I don't know, I don't think it guarantees lifespan, other than the fact that it does, we do have contractors that come out, and they'll actually sample annually and determine if the system's working. So actually, anybody that gets an ATS system is already having their system evaluated annually. So that's another good thing about them.
Okay.
All right.
I have, I'm sort of struck by this because for some reason, I'm thinking of the day park and about how much money this township pays to have the day park, in which very few of our township people use. They like using it, of course, and we take care of an awful lot of people who are not from here at the day park in the tune of many thousands of dollars. And now I look at Torch Lake. I live on Lake Michigan. Lake Michigan is many, many years ago. We wanted to know how clear Lake Michigan was. We took a white cement block. And we got out in the boat and we dropped it. We wanted to know when the cement block would disappear. We marked off the rope and dropped it down. 25 feet, disappeared. We did this the other day, it disappeared. It's clear as could be out there. So now, and then we have people who don't live on the water, who now are going to be subject to the same kind of issues that the septic tanks have, especially, I would assume, the ones on Torch Lake are going to be those that are contributing the most pollution if they are. The other thing I look at is that we're developed. All 5 townships around Torch Lake are developed. Torch Lake Township has a handful of properties, literally, available on the water. And people have, you saw the building permits that have come out at the county level. So it seems to me that Torch Lake Township should not bear this burden. Milton Township went ahead and did it, and I think that's fine. And I'm sure it has helped, but it hasn't. Apparently, we still have pollution in Milton Township, just south of us, has had it for a while. So I'm not sure if we have all the answers yet. It seems to me that we need to deal with some kind of a group organization here. And I would bring in the DNR, they don't call them the DNR anymore, because all the situations and use that Torch Lake now gets is, I was here in 77, Torch Lake has got at least doubled in terms of use. And especially the sandbar, we have our own sandbar developing up in the north end now. And it seems to me that I don't see our citizens being burdened with this. I think we gotta have good septic systems, and in our place with a number of family members, we're very careful with our system and what we. But so I'm not totally convinced that this is the only. I think it's a good answer, because actually Birch Lake down the road here put in a sewer system hooked into Elk Rapids, and it greatly improved the lake. And that's where our governor has her house or cottage. And so I said, okay, that worked there for that body of water. But we're talking a tremendously big watershed here that I don't know if we're all equally guilty. I mean, think of the orchard people who do a lot of spraying and things with their crops. I don't know, how to contain that. Also, I've found out, I've got to find out the name of this, but there are fertilizers that don't pollute the lake for lawns and things. And I got to get into that a little bit more. Just found that out last night. In addition to that, there's a number of things you can do on your own property. That is, you can have trees. Trees are phenomenal at pulling the stuff out of the ground and dropping it with the leaves and having the insects and the worms eat it up. And that works really well. The other one that Heidi Schaefer used to recommend, Heidi Schaefer was the soil erosion officer for a number of years here, were rain gardens. And rain gardens can be really quite nice, basically a basin in which the water collects, and you can, my neighbor has one that's unbelievably beautiful and fancy that he puts special plantings in, but you can let them go wild too. They also do a lot of cleaning. So I'm not sure that we should be burdened with this right now until we have a better, kind of a larger picture of what we can do. I feel, I get the same kind of feeling I have when I think about the Clean Air Act, when we have China and India don't care, and we're going to do it for the whole world. Doesn't add up yet. So I'm not saying no, but I'm saying I wish we had a better plan than just we'll do it and make our citizens pay for it. That's what it amounts to.
Yeah, I just want to point out too, the health department isn't pushing this on anyone. We're really just supporting the township, if in the tip of the mitt, and just providing, whatever they produce. We want to make sure that we can actually do that for them. So we're not pushing this either way. We have our septic code, and if they want to do a township ordinance, that is, to help mitigate some of the issues on Torch Lake. That's really, that really gets down to the local level. So I just want to point that out. Like,
I don't want to discount our responsibility
Yeah.
at all, but everyone around the lake's responsibilities, not
Right.
just us. And I think it's important if the lake is this bad. And even after Milton does it, and they're just
Yeah.
south of us.
There is a lot of benefits to the time of transfer though, because you do catch a lot of, set systems that are failing and, when there is a purchase, that's a lot of times there's money already being, put in, like exchanged at that point, and then that buyer and that seller, that buyer also has an idea of what they're purchasing when we do an inspection on it too. So there is other benefits also to, the clients that are purchasing, the property too, so.
When I first came here, they counted the number of bedrooms for the size of the septic tank.
That's-
And now they count wherever you can put a bed.
It's living space, or I'm sorry, it's a sleeping area. That's what we count. Some of that is kind of why we decided to do that is, with the recent, increase in, Airbnbs, people have been putting bunk houses, or like bunk beds in there, and then, a bedroom might have 6 people sleeping in a bedroom now. So we're just trying to figure out exactly, okay, what is the potential of this house and how much waste are they producing? So we want to size it appropriately. So if they plan on having 12 people sleep in the house, we'd like to be able to give them a septic system that's going to work instead of fail prematurely 5 to 10 years.
Well, we don't allow short-term rentals in Torch Lake Township, and it's enforced.
Yeah.
And we've been doing that for a while because of that same kind of thing that
Right,
was happening.
exactly.
And then you have, you might have a family and in fact, there's a big home near me and the kids come up for 2 weeks and there's probably 15 grandkids and their parents and they have a great jolly time, but that's the only time these 7 bedrooms are used.
Yeah, and that's
but-
just the way it is.
But again, and to count all these rooms in the house where you could put a bed just doesn't add up. And the other thing, again, you run into is, I like the idea of the newer technologies because there are some out there that could be worked, but I'm surprised for you to say that they don't change the size of the area. The other thing that you have that is a dilemma too is that we really don't have, Bob had said last night at a meeting we were at that the people have to be certified. Well, there's no real true certification for the people that do the inspections on these things. You set some rules and regulations and they're the ones that that make the decision about whether or not your tank is good or bad.
Do you mean the third party?
Yeah, the kind of thing.
Yeah.
I will tell you that there was a person from the Kalamazoo area who said that, who did this for I don't know if it was Kalamazoo County or the city, that there was no clear inspection. There was no clear, hard, fast, yeah, it's bad kind of thing, kind of rule. And he stuck by that. The other thing that happened, there was some corruption that happened as well between those who do the inspection and those who put in the septic fields. And so there's an awful lot of things that are just gray here for me. I think we need to be clean and especially to protect our water. I have no problem with that, but this just seems so, we got a little spot here that we can do when there's a lot of places around the whole area that we got to look at. Maybe the state legislature can help us with that.
Well, and that is getting pushed. I actually got pushed to the committee. They were going to try to do it this summer, and they got pushed back a little bit to the fall. But there's a lot of talk about it, and it looks like it might go through. How it goes through, I don't know. But they're really adamant about getting the septic code for the state here. One thing I would tell you, if you want to learn more about it, maybe talk to Milton Township about it and see how they like it, see how they feel about it, see if they have any issues with it. So, I mean, that would be from the horse's mouth there. So,
Well, Bob had said last night, and you
Yeah.
said 50 years, Bob, for our sewers. I don't know if it'll be that long anymore when I see the kind of growth we have happening. But somebody approached me the other day because I'd given them an easement, not on my property, but I didn't own their frontage for a septic tank. And I had put in the easement, if someday in the future, this easement is no longer required, it's null and void. And they called me up and said, what did you mean by that? I said, because someday you might have a sewer here and you don't need my drain field anymore on my property. So, and that will happen. I mean, there's no way this is going to keep growing like this and not have that begin to happen. And if the pollution gets bad, the Eagle used to be able to come in and say, you're going to put in sewers. That's all there is to it. So I don't know where that all goes, but.
Well,
anyways.
was it Lake Houghton that
Higgins?
Higgins,
Yeah.
that spent, what, 20 years trying to go through the sewer process? Then the time frame to build it was going to be like another 20, 25 years. So even if we started today to
Special
figure out
assessment.
sewer, I mean, yeah, they did a
Yeah.
special assessment.
Yeah.
Even if we started today to lay this out, it's not going to be in my lifetime. And so the idea is, how do we set the township up to do the best job that we can with what we have, knowing that things are going to be changing? Now, what I asked for was to put together a draft only because I wanted something to work from with the community. What I didn't want to do is get in a room and have 100 people with 100 ideas on what to do. The idea was to have the experts, if you will, put together something that already has a base of operations, which was Milton, find out what worked, what didn't work, how would you make it better, give us that draft so that then we can work with basically the next generation of an ordinance and work from there, as opposed to trying to start from scratch and write our own thing.
So what we
So that
don't
was
know,
the
Bob,
intent.
is did it work in Milton Township?
Well, but that's part of what we need to do on the process. But what I wanted to do was get an initial meeting to find out if the community's interested in it, because I don't want to run down a rabbit hole and get to the point to say I've got all the answers and the community says, no, we don't want it. So I'd rather have a base case, have people give their opinions, and now we can step back and figure out what our next step is. I didn't want to get the cart before the horse. I wanted to get something out that we could all look at and get feedback on and then take the next steps. And if that's what I had in the agenda for our discussion, and we can skip it. when we
But see,
get to that
the other
point.
issue, like in Milton Township, is Elk Lake. I think they're having difficulty in Elk Lake. That's part of Milton Township, a portion of it. I really do think we have to protect these lakes. Especially the whole chain into Antrim County. And I think we should do something. I don't think an ordinance is a start. I think a plan is for all of us that we can then begin to implement and
we
bring
can
in
work,
the experts.
let's work on that at the meeting, at a public meeting, so that people have input to it, Alan.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks. Jennifer. Yes, I said 10 minutes, but this is an important subject.
Okay, so I'm Jennifer McKay. I'm the policy director at Tip of the Mitt Watershed Council. We actually do have a plan for the entire Elk River chain of lakes. We have a watershed management plan that does exactly what you said. It goes through and addresses all of the pollutants and has identified actual steps we need to take and who the responsible parties are. And I would encourage Torch Lake Township to attend meetings. We have an advisory committee meeting that happens quarterly, and you can attend and start to become part of that process.
This is a committee that's dealing with all the lakes in Antrim County?
Yes, well, it's the Elk River chain of lakes, because
Okay,
that's
yeah,
the
yeah,
watershed.
Yes, yeah, the watershed.
And
okay.
the advisory committee includes the state of Michigan, so Eagle, it brings in the tribes, other environmental organizations, all of the lake associations, so all of the local governments, various partners that have all come together to work on that plan and to start implementing those recommendations. So I can get you information on that.
Yeah, I'd like to see what the indications are for our area,
Yeah.
which would, in my opinion, would include all of the townships on the water, because to Alan's point, it makes sense that once we get feedback from our citizens as to how important an issue this is, that we then start teaming it up with the other partners on the lake and see what we can come up with.
Absolutely. And in the success stories handout that Anna provided you, there is information on the results of Milton Township ordinance, as far as how many inspections they've done, what the results of those have been. It's from, I believe, 2020 or 2021, and I can provide you with updated information from the last year as well, if you'd like it.
All
When I
right,
asked
great.
the question with regard to the success of Milton Township, it was not how many inspections they did and what they found was right or wrong, but is it working for their water? And I don't know how we get at that question,
Was it
unless everyone's participating.
working?
We can look at water quality data.
Around that area?
We've collected water quality data for the last 30, 40 years. So we can look at water quality data and see if anything has changed.
Yeah, in that area.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
let me look at that as well and try and get that information for you.
All right, great, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
All right.
Yeah.
No, yes. Come on up, Casey.
She's part of the group.
She's the one that plays in the dirt.
She plays with the dirt now?
Okay, so I'm Casey Clement. I'm an environmental sanitarian in the Antrim County office. So I work with the time and transfer program. In Antrim County, we have Milton Township and the village of Elk Rapids. And I'm the one who actually carries out those inspections. So in case you're interested, underneath our intergovernmental agreements, I write annual reports. I brought copies of those for you, along with the frequently asked questions brochure.
Okay, great. Yeah. We'll
I'll pick copies to everyone
make
else.
copies, good.
Yep, that's on our website.
Oh,
All right, super, thank you. All right,
so Milton and the village of Elk Rapids are the only two that have an ordinance at this point. in time.
Yep. All right, folks, thank you very much for doing that, for your time. Board, we will worry about the date of the meeting, the public meeting as one of the items in business discussion. So moving on to new business, give me a chance to pull that together. All right, we'll go to item number 2 on the agenda, which is the sign zoning ordinance. It was passed by the Planning Commission. And it was approved by the county. And at this point, I happen to have attended the meetings. There was a pretty thorough discussion. It took 3 meetings to get through it. Citizens had the opportunities to make comments. There were comments made. The comments did have an impact on some of the decisions that were made. And so if the board has any questions, my understanding is that we can approve or disapprove or send it back to the planning for rework. Having sat through it, I feel pretty comfortable that they did a thorough job. Sarah did a nice job walking them through that. And so I'll ask the board if there's any questions. Sarah wasn't able to
Can I
make
ask, Jason, you're satisfied with this?
Yeah, I am.
Okay, because you went up, you were kind of frustrated with the 3-meeting kind of thing, and I just want to,
Yeah, but we worked everything out and
okay, all
I
right.
was satisfied
All right.
with the final product.
And somewhere I read that it's not dealing with the mobile signs yet, right? It's just the permanent,
permanent structures.
there's a word, like the
The,
TikTok,
the highlight,
ticker tape signs and so forth, that's later.
yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, that's the LED
LED.
dancing,
Yep.
whatever
light
it
up
is.
signs.
But they will address that at another point and we'll do the amendment. But this way we get the most current signage amendment done. So if there's no questions, then I will ask the board if there's a motion.
Whoops, I'm sorry. So somebody that might not be living up to this ordinance now, are they grandfathered in? Will they have to change with the ordinance?
My impression is they are grandfathered in. And this will be new signage. We won't be going around telling people that have to tear things down. I think it's like any other zoning ordinance.
Okay.
So it will be what is placed. Any other questions? If not, then I'll make the motion to approve Resolution 2023-10 to replace, amend Torch Lake Township zoning ordinance, Chapter 3A signs as presented with publication within 10 days of approval and effective date 30 days after such publication date. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thanks, Jason.
Is it possible in that motion to put the section title with regard to, I mean, this is, as opposed to just so it's easier to identify it as part of the sign section of our zoning ordinance or something that, as opposed to just saying 23-10?
Chapter 3A.
Well, the resolution, usually if you want, it would be, if you wanted a name, give me a title you'd like.
Well, zoning sign ordinance is what it is. Took in the whole
All right.
section.
Zoning sign ordinance.
That's all. I just thought,
All right, I will add that in. So it will read, motion to approve resolution 2023-10, zoning sign ordinance to replace and amend Torch Lake Township zoning ordinance, Chapter 3A, signs, as presented with publication within 10 days of approval and effective date 30 days after such publication. Jason, you okay with the second on the change?
Yes.
Any questions on the motion? Hearing none. Kathy, would you do a roll call vote, please?
I will. Mr. Martell,
yes.
Mr. Cook,
Yes?
I will say yes myself, and Mr. Merchant.
Yes.
And Ms. Schultz being absent, that means this proposal passes 4-0.
All right. Next item. And if you guys want to leave, you can. Quite honestly, I think the discussion is going to be this, just set the date for the public discussion, and we'll get back in touch with you for materials that I'll need to put out with the meeting notice. All right, thank you. Third item is putting new board members and alternates on the Traverse Bay Nature Preserve Board. Now, we haven't done that, at least in the 2.5 years I've been supervisor, Alan. I think you probably did the last one.
Probably.
I worked with Mary on the list of names, and I put on your desk a revised, it should be under your pack, under the blue, unless you got it in your hand.
He's got it.
A revised listing of who the people are. I don't know if there's any questions associated with those people, but they'll have 7 board members and 3 alternates. And I'm setting it up for a 2-year term. And we're going to make sure the board's a little more active, but we've really accomplished a lot this year. And their board's been very active in pushing me to get things done for them. We now have porta potties out there. We have a handicap one and a regular one. Bob Hawkins and I are spending a lot of time making sure people are not parking down in that area. What's amazing is when there's cars parked where they should be parked, nobody seems to park after that down at the waterfront. So I think it's a good example. It's working, and we'll see how midsummer comes. I mean, in the past, we could have 13, 14 cars crammed down there, and there's no way we'd ever get our fire emergency people out there. One thing that has happened is the hammerhead that we put in there, one of the commercial guys uses it for lifts, and there's been some damage done on the side. So I don't have any proof who it was, but I'm going to make some phone calls on that.
Is
So-
that what I saw then? Is where the truck had done the damage?
Yeah, in the very
Okay.
edge.
Oh,
So anyway, I'll make the motion to approve the following appointments listed below for the Traverse Bay Nature Preserve Board for terms of 2 years, and the existing board member terms are hereby terminated with both actions effective June 21, 2023. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
All right, any questions on the motion?
No, I think it's good. I think we might want to consider cameras.
Well, we are. In fact, Ted is looking into it. Here's the problem. We have no power. The nearest power pole is, on the outside of the properties, be a significant running line. And line of sight is non-existent for us to get through all the trees to get to the township hall. So, the other side of it is recording on a memory stick, except in order to get the memory stick, you got to get to the camera. And if you can get to the camera, so can people that don't want to have it. So right now we've issued, I think 4 or 5 tickets. They're at $500 a pop. So Bob Hawkins, I'll tell you, Bob's a blessing. I mean, what he did in getting the blocks, because it was very difficult finding these things, and then getting somebody to bring a front end loader to put them in place, and he stenciled everything for the warning. So, and what's amazing is taking pictures of a license plate, and the person pulled right up in front of this thing that says no parking. And it's just completely ignored. So we're taking 2 or 3 different angles, and I don't expect any problems. So hearing nothing, then Kathy, would you do a roll call vote on this?
I will. Mr. Merchant.
Yes.
Excuse me. Myself, yes. Mr. Martell.
Yes?
And Mr. Cook.
Yes?
Therefore, this motion is approved 4-0.
Great, thank you. Item number 4 is our annual review of the insurance policy. It's the medical policy for our EMS employees. We reviewed the plans with the agent. We had the clerk and the treasurer involved, as well as myself. The new price is $50,000. It's up from $45,000, 9.7%, which happens to be the same percent increase that it took place last year. And to get the type of policy, and we get the people that are using it are very satisfied with it, I think we give a really good policy to them. Ellen, it's pretty much what we've been doing for years with them. So unless there's any questions from the board, I would like to make a motion to approve the quote submitted by our insurance provider, Priority Health, for full-time EMS employee medical insurance plan at a cost of $50,082, 9.7% increase. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Kathy. Any question on the motion? If there's no, yeah.
I don't know if you can answer this. How many people do we have on the insurance program?
I think it's.
We have
Ballpark.
6.
6? Okay.
I believe.
We have 2, 4, 6,
7?
8, 9, and 7 employees and 2 dependents,
Okay.
2 children.
Yeah, I didn't
Okay.
count them.
Okay, thank you.
I didn't count them.
I just happen to have that. All right, so if no other questions, then all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay, that's not roll call. All right.
All right, our next item is Bob Hawkins. Currently, our park coordinator is Jenny Hawkins, and during her absence, Bob has been filling in to do all of the lead coordinator role, and it became apparent that we need co-leaders in there so that Bob gets the appropriate payment for his time when he's doing that role. So that's why I'm bringing this to the board. We need to approve him both as the co-park lead coordinator and at the pay rate of $21 per hour, which is what we pay Virginia. Any questions?
I got a
about that?
question.
Yeah.
So if he's there being the co-leader and he's got to write a infraction, is he making the 21 plus the 30?
No,
Okay.
no. You mean for the zoning enforcement
Yeah,
officer?
yeah.
Double dip?
Right, that's,
Only you would think of that. I didn't even think about that. That's pretty good.
it's a good question.
Differentiate. Yeah, it
Fit what,
is.
51, he's get $30 an hour, right?
He's at 30 for the zoning ordinance.
21.
enforcement. Yeah. All right, so I'll make the motion to approve the hiring of Bob Hawkins as co-park lead coordinator at $21 per hour effective June 21st, 2023. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thanks, Jason. Any question on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I was going to do a roll call, but I don't think we have to. Okay. All right, board, that finishes our business section. The people who were here to talk about the police department, I had a discussion with Kevin today. I think people have a misconception of a police department. I'm not looking to hire 2 or 3 full-time people. It's for a lack of a better word, it's like a shell corporation. You put it in place so that if you need it, you can use it. But, you know, it all depends on any of the state requirements as to, I think the only critical state requirement is we do have to identify an officer. But even with that, Kevin and I had a discussion today. He's working with Dan Bean, and they may have an alternative for us for our consideration. So at this point, I'm not going to pursue any longer anything about a police department until we get the final say from the sheriff whether or not he's going to support us in any way or he's not going to support us. If he's not going to support us, then the question is, we don't need a police officer 12 months out of the year. But it certainly would come in handy, especially on the enforcement side and support for the park attendants during the heavy times like weekends. And if you have a police department, you can have a part-time person that just works the hours that you need them to. So that was the purpose behind just creating a shell so that if we needed it, we could implement it and it would be in place. But at this point, let's see what the sheriff comes up with. So that's my update on that. Septic ordinance, we'll cover that at down for the special meetings. Road ends, Mr. Spencer is gone. I had talked to Bob earlier today, and so his appearance tonight was not a surprise. And he was pretty adamant about our maintaining the ordinances or the road ends. Now, we haven't been doing that. Alan, I'm not sure when that stopped. He told me that back when we first acquired them, that the folks that were handling the cemetery were also then doing work at the road ends to keep them maintained. You know, for us, it's kind of a burden in a way, but yet I've had a couple of complaints because people were trying to get down a road in that was overgrown, and they were very upset, and the people trespassed on other people's property to get down to the lake. So that's one call. That's the only experience I have. Now, we have a number of road ends that we do utilize. So the Nature Preserve is one, the Day Park, 3rd Avenue, Kruger, because Antrim Paddle uses that as one of their emergency exits. We have Creswell and Erickson. Those are the key road ends that I know of. The balance of them, I think that's 13, are hidden away somewhere in the township, most of which are on the Traverse Bay side. I'm not sure we have any others that I know of that are on the Torch Lake side. Where?
The one I spoke
Oh,
about the other day.
oh, okay. So
There's a couple right down to Cars property.
that's right.
Hey,
So, okay, so
That's just Susan.
they're around, and I really don't have an idea how accessible they are. I look at one, we've got one, Alan, it's the one that the township thought they could turn into a little park. It's down somewhere, I'm not exactly sure what road it is, Bay Colony, or what's the one across from Blue Heaven? Manitou, yeah, you go down Manitou all the way down to the end there. It's like a circle.
Yes, I
Yeah.
know where it is.
I looked at that one, and to get down there, you need a helicopter to get down that cliff. The road commission told me, oh, you could do your boat launch from there. And I said, not without a helicopter to put them down. Huh? Yeah, no pads.
Since the high water, they all have cliffs.
Yeah, so the real question is, if we don't do anything, there's a court case that Jackie told me about that the property owners can say that the township abandoned them and take control of that property. Or we can go around and look at the 19 or the 13 or 12 that are left and see if any of them, give an easy access. One of them I was thinking about, what's the property on Golden Beach Road? Remember, we got a slice of that development there that has access to the lake.
Old Mission Estates has 2 accesses to the lake.
Is that
belong to
who-
them. They pay the taxes on it.
Okay, so I thought one of the properties, that was one that Tom Stillings always said we should sell, or is that just?
There is we have an empty lot. Yes, we have an empty lot on North Golden Beach Drive that just sits there, and it's worth a lot of money, and it just sits there. I don't know.
Is that something that we could
Lot-
use as
13, is it? Lot 13, yes.
is that a lot that we could utilize as a small park area, as an access point?
Not
For the
according to the
lake?
current zoning, you couldn't.
All right.
Because it's residential area. You'd have
Okay.
to have a 100-foot buffer on either side. I think it's 100 foot. But at one time, it was up for sale, and there was controversy about it, and never went anywhere, and, but it is a lot that's there that,
Do we have any, I guess we should look and see
it's
if
also got cliffs.
that does it, yeah.
Wasn't it donated to the township, which is why I was thinking we can't sell it?
I don't know that.
You don't,
I thought it
I'm
came
not
as,
sure, but
I thought it came as part of the agreement for that subdivision that went in, that one lot was given to the township.
No, it's been there since I came here.
All right. Well, anyway, so the road ends, the real question is, does the board have
The other
any
thing,
thoughts on
when
this?
we talk about maintenance
Yep.
on that, you don't, cutting the brush is maintenance, signage is maintenance, all those things. You don't have to do an elaborate, because some of those, you're going to have to do an awful lot of engineering to get to the water on them, especially that, on some of them.
Yep.
Not that you shouldn't. The other thing is that when we actually measured those road ends, It was a little distance. It was like the beach, in some cases, less than half of this room over is all that they gave us. They gave us the beach, and they said, take care of the beach, and the rest of it belonged to the county. Nobody ever measured it. If you go down to, what's our road at the park, Dock Road?
Dock Road, yeah.
If you know where the fence is at the pier here, they gave us the pier out, that was it.
Well,
Up
they
to the
gave us
fence
10
belongs to the county.
They gave us 10 feet.
Yeah, it was zip. So it was like, again, they didn't want to manage that. The county got all the phone calls from people misusing those road ends, and we took them at the time. And I will say, one of the things I'm really pleased when I voted no on that one, because it really has been a burden on us, and it should have been a joint effort, county and us, and maybe DNR. Not to keep people off the water, but but we got 10 feet, and then the county puts all kinds of restrictions with regard to where they
Parking.
can park and how they park. And then people get angry at us, and we're supposed to maintain it. Some of those, end of Crestwell, I don't know if when in the high water 2 years ago, our whole easement was gone. It was all water.
Yeah, we spent money on that 2 years ago. We had Bill Peterson worked with, I think, Drought to put work in there. So, well, again, I'm looking for a little direction. I mean, Ellen, I know,
Well, I think I would take a look at all of them and see what you could do, but I wouldn't.
Right.
I wouldn't make any major changes. Again, I do like the one on Torch Lake where the boaters can do a safety thing and get into shore. That's a
Kruger.
good idea.
I think it's pronounced Kruger, isn't it? Yeah. The other one at Third Avenue, there are steps there, steps, and they're in very bad shape from what I heard. So, probably to preclude us from having some extra liability, we'll try to get those fixed.
George Parker put those in.
Good
The
luck.
other thing is, I was concerned when you said that brush had been cut. That's an embankment, and if you look at Third Street, it goes right down the hill. And you get a tremendous amount of rain runoff into Torch Lake if you break those brushes.
Well,
there.
somebody went in there and cut that last year.
On
And
Third
we-
Street?
Yeah.
What, the
It's
Schumacher?
It's one of the neighbors.
It was one of the
Listen.
neighbors that did. We had no.
Be prepared to be confronted when you go down that road end.
But it's
I'm
just
not
one
kidding.
of those things. We didn't have enough visual pictures to bring any claim against them. But yeah, they did cut down some of the brush and stuff. So we sent the individual a letter and said, cease and desist from doing that in the future. But yeah, I think there's going through now your two sites. I think when we talked today, you told me that it's a pretty steep, or Kathy told me, one of the two, that's not an easy place to get down to the lake, that access point. So the question becomes, I guess, I'll have to go around and survey them and see what we got. If there's anything that's easy, but my feeling is if you got to put in steps and stuff, I'm not sure I want the township to have to do that. I mean, at this point, if Mother Nature kind of made the access different than it was when it was given to us, then that's just part of life.
Milton Township, Sutter Road.
Yeah.
Have you been there?
No.
The beautiful womanized steps all the way down to the Torch Lake. A year later, it all washed out, and the only thing left is the wood.
Well, that's, So anyway, that's the road ends. Just to give you an update on that.
Well, it seems that if we're the ones in charge of them, we should at least make an effort to take a look at them and see what they need.
I've got to figure out where they are.
We-
Some of them, when
we've
you
got
look
a
at the
list.
map.
I know we've got a list somewhere.
Kathy, it's not like we have a big, long strip to deal with. We've got a little.
Well, actually,
portion.
No,
there
I
is
know.
one. There is one off of Bay Colony that runs almost perpendicular from
that one,
a house all the way to the lake, and it's significant, but it's like, it's over a sand dune. And the two lots that work their way down towards the water have relatively an easier slope, but our property is like up the hill and it's then down.
That was part of a subdivision. That was not given. That was part of it. Then it was dedicated to the public as part of that subdivision.
Well, that was one of the areas I got a complaint on, except they thought that they only could walk down through the main area. That's owned by other people and it's not ours. So anyway, that's an update on that. I kind of gave you an update on the nature preserve. We got the porta potties out there, so that worked. That was Mary that accomplished that. Item number 5 was a request of the board just to see what key things they might have that they'd like to accomplish. Sharon, everybody has a list if you took a package. Sharon wants new carpeting and flooring throughout our building. I guess this is pretty old stuff here.
It's the original.
We're looking at fixing the microphone problem because we have a problem with sound. And it's difficult. It's the fact that we turn and talk this way, and all 3 board commissions, us, the Planning Commission, and the ZBA, do the same thing. They're carrying on a dialogue, and they're turning back and forth, and the people on YouTube cannot hear well, nor some of the people in the audience. So we're going to look at upgrading the microphones.
Nor can the people that are doing the minutes hear for sure who said what.
Yeah, you get to look at the recording.
I'm not the only one, though.
But yeah, people have complained about the ability to hear on YouTube. And some of the chairs, as I mentioned earlier, Alan's chair, I'm rocking and rolling in that one, Alan. I'm going to go through that thing yet. So Kathy, I'm going to come to Kathy last. The items I had was the dangerous building ordinance. I've gotten sufficient feedback on that. We'll have a public hearing. The idea is to get it out to the public and ask what they think. The septic tank inspection is exactly the same thing. These are things that have come up, and as supervisor, I'm putting them out there for the public to understand. They've come up, and we'll have public hearings to get their opinions. The police status, I've given you that one. I'm sure Kevin and I will figure something out. The one that I didn't put on there is the fire station, the South Fire Station. I want to fix that. Kevin, we gotta find somebody that's going to give us a quote. The board on that particular issue, Alan, this goes back to something you brought up. And that is around having districts. And because over time, we're going to start losing our volunteers to age, and we may not be able to have a good enough staff, and you got to start sharing these resources. Question is, does Torch Lake Township want to be kind of the central point to service some of the other townships? And if we do, then if we have to do something with the South Station, do we do it and look out into the future and see if we make accommodations associated with that type of situation? But that's just something for us to think about as we move forward this year. You can give that some thought. Alan, you didn't send me anything. Do you have any specific
I'm
item?
good with this.
You're good with that? Jason?
I'm all about what Kathy said.
So I'll let Kathy.
And just to go a little bit further, I mean, I'm still all about getting some recycling bins or something here. I think it's ridiculous. I gotta go to Elk Rapids or Central Lake to take my recycling. That's just my opinion, though.
Yep. All right, Kath.
Well, one of the things I think about on and off, and because I often get phone calls, now that Central Lake no longer will allow us to take things like mattresses, bags of garbage, people call and want to know where can they take these things. And quite honestly, there is no answer. take it out in the woods and dump it somewhere. That'll be something that people will think to do. So what I would like us to revisit, because we talked about it before, is what kind of service could we provide to the residents to help them with trash removal? And I got in a conversation with Bob about it. I'm not asking to have weekly trash pickup provided to our citizens paid for by the township. That wasn't my goal. And I'm not looking to have any kind of a tax increase. But I think that we have the funds that if we, for example, the Central Lake, Bel Air, Elk Rapids, they have that 1 day or 1 week a year where you can put out anything and it's picked up. And I think their contract might be through GFL, which is who we have to pick up our trash here and at the day park. So I said, I volunteered, I will make some phone calls, but I would like to look into an option like that would provide an opportunity, even though it's only once a year, but it would provide an opportunity for our residents to have a way to get rid of certain kinds of trash. And what got me thinking about this is in a conversation with family, my family member that lives in Grand Blanc, Michigan, pays more taxes than I do living on Torch Lake. And I got to thinking about that, but I talked to them about their tax bill and all the things that their taxes cover. So they get, they've got sewer, they've got public water, they've got snow removal, trash pickup, and it goes on and on and on. They're getting a lot of bang for their buck. And I got thinking, well, what do we get for our taxes? I know we have a dynamite EMS department, we have a great fire department. What other services do we provide to our residents? So I just would like to pursue that perhaps we can find a way to provide a service having to do with trash pickup. And I guess I'm going like the once a year kind of thing, but Ellen?
So can you?
We have places where they will not pick up their trash?
Say it again?
The companies will not pick up their trash here?
Yes, yeah, but they have to pay for it themselves.
But it's not expensive.
No, but a lot of seasonal people, I don't.
But they can too, they
can take it home for the weekend. I know I used to do that back in the day.
Yeah, that is an issue, but
And
there's
we got all
coverage.
kinds of, we got permanent residents, we got seasonal residents, we got summer people back and forth. Back in the day, Eastport Market you could take a bag of trash there for $3. We don't have places like that. We can't, the only way you can get rid of your trash bag now is have your own private service
That's true.
or take it home. And so like Jason said, I wasn't thinking recycling because we already have that available, but that's not to say that we couldn't add a few more stations with trash pickup. I know Sharon's objection, I don't think she'll mind that I share it with you, is that her comment was, we're not in the trash business. Well, I'm not asking us to be in the trash business. I'm asking us to provide a service to our residents. And if it happens to be trash, so be it.
I mean, Bel Air's doing it right now. They had 3 different dates. They did it in sections of their township.
Did they? Okay.
And you leave it out by the road, and probably if you've gone to Bel Air lately, you see all the junk on the sides of the roads.
Yeah. And you also see the cars that stop and look at each pile
Oh,
to
yeah,
see
yeah.
if there's anything they want.
But they have restrictions of
And
what you
that's
can and
okay.
can't put there. But I think that would be great for one time a year that our residents could get rid of
I
the
agree.
crap that's been
So
buried
And I
under the
think we can
leaves.
fund it. I
Well-
think we can.
go.
So I'll do some research.
It's pricey.
Well, that's fine. Kathy's right. I mean, we've got funds and that would be a good service. I just need to know what it's going to be.
I'll look.
Jason, you want to add anything to that one, or? I wonder if Eastport, recycling. People want to put it out here in the parking lot. And I'm not sure we want to that we want to do that. I'm wondering if,
Lot 13?
no, I don't, I mean, people were.
Third Street?
People were talking about wanting us, the township, to buy a piece of property so they could throw their brush on it. And it's like, I don't think that's really what we want to spend our money on. But I'm wondering if maybe we talk to Eastport Market because they got that far side and see if there's a deal that we might be able to put together for them. If they'd be willing to, because they certainly have enough room in their parking lot there on the north end for the trucks to get in and out. And I mean, I go to Central Lake and except for holiday weekends, they must have what, 8 or 10 containers there. They're not all full except for the holiday weekend type thing. And the same thing down at Elk Rapids. I think they have like 10 or 12. So let me talk to Sean and see if he'd be open to something to address that. But otherwise, I don't know where else you'd put them in the township.
I think the
We have
problem
a few
that
pieces of
Russ,
property, don't we?
Huh?
So we have a few pieces of property, don't we? Don't we have a lot on like Third Street?
yes,
Yeah, it's residential.
No, it's not by the water. It's up
It's
top of the hill.
residential. You'd have to rezone that.
Put some,
And I'm sure those neighbors are going to love you.
would be approved.
We'll figure something out. We'll try it.
just lilacs.
Yeah, there you go. Here we go.
Yeah, well.
All right, so that takes care of item number 5. 6 is the date for the public hearing. What I'd like to do is have it before our next board meeting in July, which is the 18th. So I'm looking at Tuesday, the 11th, Wednesday, the 12th, Thursday, the 13th. I'm not sure if,
Well, the 11th is the planning commission meeting.
all right, so we're not going to do that. The 12th is not the ZBA. They would be the week after our meeting or the day after our meeting.
Mm-hmm.
But again,
That, their July ZBA meeting is canceled also because they
Oh, yeah,
didn't
that's
have an
right.
appeal turned in
case.
time, so.
or we, I'm just saying, have it before our board meeting so that then we could then look at the results and begin work on if we want to write something, create something, or if we don't care about pursuing anything. So it gives us the feedback before that meeting. But if we can't do that, again, I want to try to make it so that as many residents as can will come to the meeting. And it's informational. I'm not going to negotiate deals. I'm just trying to get information.
So these are 2 meetings, one for poor housing and the other one is for septic.
No, I would hold both the same
The
night.
same night.
Yeah, let's kill 2 birds with 1 stone.
So what's the Wednesday date then?
12th.
It's the 12th.
Doesn't conflict with planning, doesn't conflict with ZBA,
Nope.
so.
Or Thursday. I mean, either
Yeah,
one.
that's true, Thursday.
It doesn't matter to me.
All right.
I got all kinds of meetings coming up. Jeez.
Oh, that's right, the 26th and the
26th,
28th.
28th, the 11th. Holy cow.
I know. Well, push those variances or the zoning ordinance through.
I'm all right with the 12th, Wednesday, if everybody else.
All right, Alan, how are you?
Fine.
All right, so I will get the public, we got to get it out.
Is Sharon going to be back by then?
Oh, yeah.
All right.
This is the
She's back this
13th then you're
weekend.
going?
No,
You are going the 12th?
the 12th, that Wednesday. We'll do Wednesday, the 12th. We'll get it in the paper. We'll get it in constant contact. I'll put it in my monthly letter to the community for the website. And it's a special meeting. I know special meetings require only 18 hours, but I want to get this in the paper at least for 2 weeks ahead of time. I think
Do-
it's well worth it.
Do you want it in there twice, are you saying?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. I want to make sure people hear about it and can attend.
My only question is the 6 PM start. That tends to be an odd time for us. Everything starts at 7 except ZBAC, I see here, starts at 6.
I didn't set a time yet,
Oh, I'm reading the wrong one. I'm reading the new one here. Okay.
so we
Yeah,
can
that's
make it,
different.
we can
Okay.
make it 7 PM. That's not a problem.
For both meetings? That's a,
Well, no, it would be one public hearing for 2 discussions, right?
Okay.
I don't have to
Okay.
have a separate public hearing
okay.
for each subject, do I, Alan? I thought public hearing was to discuss whatever you wanted to discuss, so I wanted to discuss 2 things.
Well, no, it's more like a meeting. A public hearing is dealing with an ordinance. It's like a meeting of the people. Just say,
So-
what do you think about
so then
this?
I'll
Our
just-
last planning commission meeting, we did 2 public,
Right.
just last Tuesday.
How long did it take? That was my only.
No, you
point.
just you voted on 2 items. You had
It was-
one public hearing on it.
Oh, it's just one. I thought it was 2.
No, I use public hearing interchangeably with a public meeting. So I'll call it a public meeting, but I'm still going to advertise it.
Sure.
Yeah, all right, we'll do the public meeting. All right, the last one was the boat launch. You guys have drawings. I have a huge drawing in the back. There's 2 items. The first page is the existing structure, if you will. The engineers took, however they do it, they took a Google or drone or some picture from the sky and were able to sketch this stuff out. So page 1 of 2, and I think there's still some others back there if you want to look at them. Basically, right now, everything to the north of the launch ramp is filled with rocks. And if you go out 15, 20, 25 feet, you got a lot of old timber in there and a lot of different rocks. Now, we've had this discussion. I brought this up when I said I wanted to get the engineer to look at this thing, that what we want to do is create 2 launches. One is for the boat, expand it, and the second one is for kayaks. So the second drawing, page 2, it's kind of hard to see. The bigger drawing is better, but we will be going out 60 feet, and essentially what they'll do is they'll seal off the existing area. We're going to increase the width by 3 feet, and they're going to drain it and redo the foundation for it, and then they'll put in a slab. They will then create a barrier between that launch and the kayak launch, which will be to the north. The little circles will be buoys that will be marked, that we will mark the separation between the 2. And then the white area that you see at the top, that's going to be a sanded area, so that then when the people drive down, somebody will come in with a boat, and then a kayak launch will come behind it. They'll use that section to drop their kayaks off and leave. The boat launch is done, and they pull out. The idea is to try to clean up the congestion that we get down there when we get a boat owner that ramp's pretty narrow. In fact, I told this to a couple people that launched their boats, and they were very supportive of expanding the ramp a few feet. So then we will clean the area out, which should not create any havoc with the environmental group. And we will create whatever you call those, like a little pier of all the rocks that we pull out. We'll put another area there to the north of the launch site, so that you have buoys on one side, you'll have like a rocky pier on the other side that will also provide us some protection from the north winds that could eat away at the sandy beach. So, I mean, we won't win that battle completely, but you got the wharf on one side. So the only side that's going to really give us a problem is going to be on the north side. I was hoping to have pier or 45th parallel was supposed to try to just throw a real quick estimate together so we get a ballpark, and I didn't get anything from them. My gut is it's going to be somewhere between 100 and 150. Again, my whole thing behind this is you fixed it, I think, what, 5-7 years ago?
But I could not go out of the parameters that Eagle set.
Yeah,
They wouldn't let us
well,
expand. Are they expanding? Are they
we
agreeing
are
with this?
we are not expanding the area that, from see, the engineering firm will be the ones that take this to to Eagle. What they said, as long as we don't dredge, if we dredge, and we're not going to dredge any more area except we're going to replace what's torn up. If we don't dredge that expansion, we're fine. It's because we can drain it to put the concrete bed in. But if you start expanding that by dredging it, then they'll get upset. And what they told me is the 3 feet extension that we would be asking to do, they will not have a problem because it is a safety issue with it being so narrow.
Good.
Eagle also says that they are interested in soft shore for public use, which means are cleaning out that one section with all the rocks and that stuff. They will be very happy when we put the sand in. So he does, the engineering firm that will be making all the applications for us, because certainly I'm not qualified to do that. He doesn't think we're going to have any trouble.
Good.
So at this point, I think we're in good shape. It certainly will help. We have a real risk with the kayakers launching from the same ramp that the boats are. I mean, that's just crazy on our part. And the second thing is, I was trying to finagle a deal to get the fence put up earlier, and we still can't get anybody to put a fence up there. So we're going to have to, the park attendants are going to have to be ever vigilant, because last year we had, as I said before, we had almost 2 kids run over. And it's just a risk, and it's a liability for us, and that's why we got to get that fence up. Now, we've been told they will do it in September. This construction, I've talked to both Poseidon and North Shore Dock, and they said, hey, don't do it before October 1st. And the construction's said that October 1st, first week, second week of October, they'll still be able to get it done. So that's a high level of where I'm at. And as soon as I get another, I get a quote, I'll get it out to everybody. But again, don't be surprised.
I had the same difficulty with the fence. The fence people didn't want that smaller job. That's awful.
All right, so that is item 7. And I think that was 8. I have a lot of things. Let's see. I think that's all we got. The information only. I think I said the last time we won the circuit court case over the helipad. If I didn't, that is done. They are not appealing it, and I've taken the boat out, and it is torn up and gone. Yeah, it's gone. We have another appeal or another case. It was a zoning. The judge has not provided an opinion yet. That'll be 4 to 6 weeks. I feel pretty comfortable about it. There has been a counter offer to settle outside of court, and I'm going to work with the attorneys, but I'm not keen on it. Boat wash is going to be July 29th. It's the state's boat wash equipment. They're coming to give a presentation. They would like us, I think, at some point to do it. It's a Saturday, July 29th. So come down and see what it looks like, but I just don't know where we're going to put it because you got to capture the water. And, you know, if we do it up there where the trailers are, you got to figure out the drainage for it. We just aren't well suited for it, but
Next to the recycling bin.
there, not 13, there we go. So anyway, but, you know, put that on your calendar. I'm working with Virginia to try to set up a public meeting for the residents of Eden Shore on their water quality issue. There's a lot of money at the state level, but they require a lot of work done first. We have 219 sites there, or lots that people have a real tough time with water. But, you know, in just high picture, you're going to have a water purification. You've got all the piping for the streets to the houses. So we'd have to set up a special assessment district. And then you got to get the state to either allow us to pump out of the lake to feed it, or you're going to have to dig a well, and wells don't work very well there to begin with. So huge cost, probably 4 to 5 million, but the state is willing to finance it over 30 years, and then you break that down on a per lot basis, and it might be $500 a year for each lot. You know, we'd have to define how you would even establish that tax, but at least if the residents that are willing to come out and talk to us and tell us, yeah, we're willing to get taxed if you fix the water problem, then I'm willing to start the process, try to figure out what we have to do. And I'll contact John Roth and see if we can get some help out of Lansing to do that. But there's money out there to do it. It's a question of, do the residents want to do that? Because clearly the rest of the township doesn't want to pay for that water problem. So that's, as soon as Virginia sets that date, I'll make sure it's on constant contact and we'll publish it. And she's got all the addresses of the property owners, so we'll send out a flyer on it. And that will take place sometime probably mid-July. So that's that item. And the last one is Virginia applied for a grant for a bike rack, and we got our first grant for $800 to purchase a bike rack. So good for Virginia for getting that. All right, we've got citizen comment. Yes, ma'am.
Oh, she's making a list. Uh-oh.
She's been pacing back and forth there, just waiting.
Yeah.
You didn't come here you were not here last month. That was 35 minutes.
Talk.
Oh, jeez.
This is Deb Steggles.
Okay, where do I want to start? Okay, I have it numbered here. I have 4 minutes, so I'm trying to keep it 4 minutes. Day park. Okay, it's interesting seeing all the information you have on the day park coming out. Well, should I say lack of, because the site it's not updated regularly. Do they meet monthly? Because
No.
last time,
They call special meetings and they get posted
okay,
on the 2 bulletin boards. And
okay. Well, no, I'm sorry, I'm trying to talk in here because this tippy said.
you can tip it.
So I just saw the last one was posted in March, and then they said they met in April, but there's nothing in there in April. So I didn't see any minutes in there. But I guess my question is, and I'm going to touch on Torch Bay Preserve. I understand like what you were trying to do to prevent people from parking there, the cement barriers. I know you're talking about putting fences in at the day park. Those cement barriers are god awful. They're ugly. And aesthetically, we took a beautiful location, and I understand what you were trying to do. And I agree with you, and I support you on that. But we had to put those down there in just this beautiful location. And I hope we take into consideration when we're talking about putting a fence in at the day park, that we're not just going to put in this metal chain link fence, and that we're going to look at we talked about at one point putting in like a railroad fencing or doing something.
A split rail?
Yeah, split rail. I don't know what we're doing, but I would hope we at least look at what we're going to, and I understand the safety and why we want to do it, but can we at least make it look nice, okay? We're in a beautiful area. I want to keep it that way. And I use the day park every day. And you say about people that live in the township, that I use that. I walk there every day. So I'm there all the time. And I'm not there in the middle on a Saturday afternoon with everybody else, but I'm there 9 months out of the year, usually on the weekends. And I looked at your boat launch information, and I looked back on old agenda items, and the last time I saw was for informational purposes, which was on your April agenda, which you said, I know there was some discussion at some point, so I guess when was the budget put in, and when was that?
The discussion on the budget was, I believe, the second meeting in January.
That was
Then
our
we
budget.
did a meeting in February and reviewed it, and then the budget is out on the
So it was a budget
website.
line item, but it wasn't really like open for discussion, and you brought it up in April. Okay.
Well, it was a line item. The budget was discussed at the budget and annual
Yeah.
meeting. And in that particular line item, which is in the park, it's under capital expenditures. There were 4 items listed, tree planting.
Yeah, and I saw them down there doing some pruning, and
Yep.
I talked to.
Yeah, there were 4 things we put in there for a budget of 65,000.
So then the launch and the kayak and all of that, does that fall under day park planning? Or is that under like a total separate township item?
Well, it would be under the day park,
Okay,
but it's going to be X budget. So, it's going to come out of the general fund because that's where the day park is.
okay. But the kayak part is also just tied in with that?
tied
So it's
in.
tied in separate from the day park budget?
Yep.
Gotcha.
And, we're long enough into the meeting.
Okay.
I can just tell you, the fence has got to be so that 6, 7, 8, 9-year-olds can't climb over it
Okay.
very easily. So it may be an ugly cyclone fence, but it's got to be something that the kids can't get over. I mean, a split rail, really, how long is that going to last?
Okay, well, we can come back with that. We can come up
Okay.
with better designs.
That's fine.
More efficient and can still do the job, but still be,
Reach out to Virginia Hawkins at the township.
all right. And I was just curious, and when I go on the website, you listing the new, you say you have a whole new preserve group that are coming in.
Yep.
So I know their information was sporadic too on the site as
Right.
far as information. And I, I'm, like I said, I'm not happy about the cement things, but I'm glad there's bathrooms down there. But my other question is, are there going to be trash containers?
Well,
That
that was raised by other people, and the question becomes, who picks them up? Who picks it up? I mean, we've got to figure out if it's GFL that comes out there, and does that mean it's a regular trash container bin?
Okay.
And if you're going to do that, if you think those cement blocks are ugly, then you're going to have to put that out there visibly. So,
Well, again, I walk that all the time, and it's,
I mean, I'm happy if you want to apply as a park attendant to clean up garbage and empty out the containers.
I have a
I'm happy
full-time
to-
job. I have a
I'm
full-time
happy
job,
to
trust
pay.
Okay, so then, my other thing was, I like your idea of the spring trash cleanup thing. I think that's awesome. I know they do that, like I work in Charlevoix, so every spring, there's that one week that everybody pulls everything out. We lost the ability we don't have this Central Lake dump anymore that used to be available. And so we need to, having an alternative or an option, I think that's nice. I mean, we all talk about, wanting to keep our properties nice and for people coming up, and, it'd be nice if we offered a service for people that hey, we're going to do a spring cleanup and this is something the township's going to do. And I like the idea of the recycling and I like that down towards, not Third Street. Smart aleck. And then my other question was road ends. Interesting discussion. No, I support the use of road ends personally. And the Third Street, I was kind of like dumbfounded about the cleanup thing, how because I thought that was a good thing. Because the sumac was, it's awful. It chokes out everything else and it's not pretty. And we definitely, it was an eyesore. And there was lots of vining growing. I think we've had this discussion, vines growing up on the trees. You know, we want to keep the trees intact. That's what's keeping the shoreline intact. So, I mean, that was important that those vines come down. So I totally supported that. And I would have been right down there with them if it wasn't for, wasn't around that weekend. But I think we need to look at and evaluate the uses of road ends and not letting people absorb them by complaining that they're not being maintained. I mean, whether we do like a beautification thing, I don't know, contact clubs, do like a Earth Day, volunteer everybody in the community if you have a road end in your area.
How about heading
Something
that
like
up?
that.
We-
I don't
we
know. I'm
could
just
create
coming up
a
with
committee.
ideas.
Well, we need,
I'll drive around and look it up, but you know, I think that we need to look at, again, there's so few opportunities for access, and some of these people who don't live on the lake, like in our village, there's a lot of people that use that.
and so few people volunteer.
Well, I have a lot of ideas.
We are not low on ideas.
I know. So I guess we look at it as sponsored, like, hey, I'll sponsor the Third Street. I have a group of people that would be willing to sponsor Third Street and
Can
making
you
sure-
rebuild those steps for us?
if you can give me the funds, I have people that will rebuild those.
We have the funds. If you can
Perfect.
rebuild the steps,
I
you
would
let
be
us know.
more than happy to do that. And I can volunteer that.
That's fine.
So,
She will too.
Hey, look, I'm not against any of that. I mean, the township does have the funds. We just don't have a lot of people. You know, we don't have a DPW running around here.
no, but like to criticize neighbors from going down there and cleaning up that area.
Well, that's fine, but somebody should have come up to us and told us they wanted to do that. Because if you at least tell us, then maybe we can help you with how you dispose of it or help fund things if you need stuff to get done. I
They
mean,
just had them, again, you had somebody that was willing to volunteer and do something, so it's awesome. So, I know,
Well,
for volunteering.
tell
See, this is why I
them to
don't-
call us first.
I'll remember that.
I always,
So-
the emails work and my phone always take
Hey,
messages.
and your constant contact, I'm gonna say. I've signed up for that like 3 times, and I don't get my messages every month.
Oh,
So
well,
I don't
write
know, it's
to,
very sporadic. So I don't know if it's my email. I check my junk email site and whatever. So anyways. I'm
Linda.
Woodward.
Linda
Okay.
Woodward, send her an email. She should be in it's in my, my monthly letter at the bottom,
just- yeah, I
constant
usually-
contact.
I usually get that, but the constant-
Well, it's on the
Her
website, so I
email would
hope so.
be lwoodward@torchlaketownship.org. Everybody's torchlaketownship.org, something.
All right, and yeah, the whole idea of Third Street and then recycling on that Third Street lot. We can do something with that Third Street lot that's vacant with all those violets.
People want me to put a pickleball court there.
No, we wanted to do that at the day park.
I know. Oof. Lots of ideas. I
I
mean,
wanted
a
to
lot
do
of
that
people
too.
want to reduce the ability for people to get there. And, you know, I'm not trying to shrink the day park so that only 50 people can fit there and a bunch of pickleball players. When we can have 100 or 150 people enjoy that park, I think that's the value of the park, and that's what people wanted it to be.
I know, it's. That's
I-
the county, park. Yeah, oh,
The
whatever.
county,
Yeah, I don't think.
I think you have to stay there to use that, right? No? Well, I'm happy to let them go there.
They have pickleball courts?
I don't think so.
Oh,
I
They have
got,
a basketball court.
I got 3 acres I'll sell to the township.
I'll bet you will.
You can put,
We'll give you $1 and the
Does that
rest.
back up to those baseball
it's right
fields
behind
there?
Brownwood, right behind the
How about if
hotel.
we give you $1
Oh,
and the
that
rest you
brown.
can take as a tax write-off?
Anyways, all right, well, I
All
don't
right.
see it anymore.
Yep.
It was a long meeting, but I just had to share.
That's fine. You're at the end of the meeting and the people here haven't fallen asleep yet. All right, any other comments? Public comments. If not, then we'll do board comments. Alan,
None?
not even like a good meeting or anything?
No, I don't have anything.
Okay. Jason,
I'm good.
Kathy?
I'm not. I forgot when I was giving my wishes for the future that I also meant to bring this item up. I know we're going to be working on our cemetery ordinance, and I still am going to say that I would love to try and find, how do you call it? It's a columbarium. It's a structure in your cemetery where just cremains can go. And so instead of people buying a grave site, they would buy a site in our columbarium. And this particular company, the smallest one is 24 slots, and the largest is 84 slots and everything in between. And I think they are attractive, and I think I know right where I would have it go. And so I think that it is something maybe we can consider when we get to the cemetery ordinance. And then
Okay.
my last thing, I should have asked maybe to have it changed on the agenda. We have a service agreement that was given to us from our current company that does our rugs, changes out our rugs to, do we need to vote on this
How much,
to,
how much is it?
it's, how much is it?
If it's under 5,000.
Oh,
then-
gosh, yes.
Well, then we can approve it. I
Okay,
can approve
because
the contract.
all it needs is a signature
Yeah.
and turn back in. Okay.
I'll
good.
approve it.
Thank you.
All right,
Now I'm done.
and you done?
Done.
All right, and I'm just reiterating what Bob Hawkins did. We're pretty lucky to have Bob around, so. With that, I will adjourn the meeting.
Woo, whoop, whoop. What time is it?